Yo, we are live. Welcome to the show. This is the Beat People Podcast, episode 18. I'm back with my peoples. We got like a virtual Stony type of deal going on. And
Yes,
we got my
sir.
man Ken, and he has guests in the studio. What's going on, Stony?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everybody?
Chilling, chilling. Good to
What's
see you, not see you.
What's up, Ken?
I'm still moving stuff around. I was literally just live on Facebook in a synthesizer group where we were making fart sounds using about $3,000 worth of equipment. And you know, I felt like it was time well spent.
I'm glad I drove an hour and a half up here for this. I tell you.
An hour and a half for a guy with expensive fart sounds.
Yeah,
that sounds like an adventure.
Completely worth it. Every minute.
So, Corey, I heard you were in New York all week.
I was in New York, got there Sunday and got back to LA yesterday, Friday.
What's the weather like out there?
Cold. Look, so you know Juniors? Do you know Juniors? I don't know what it's called. Juniors. It's a restaurant where they got that dope cheesecake.
Of course. Come on, that's
Or is that a cliche for people who visit there? Or do people in New York like Junior's cheesecake too?
Oh no, we love Junior's cheesecake. It's real.
Word. So listen, it was, I don't know what it was, maybe 30 something, 40 degrees. And you know, I'm originally from Chicago, but I'm not used to that no more. If it's under 60, I'm cold.
Right.
So but I knew I was about a mile away from Junior's in Times Square, and I was like, I gotta take it. I'm going. And I walked over there and
You walk over the bridge?
No, I didn't walk over the Brooklyn Bridge. I stayed in Manhattan in Times Square. That's right? Am I talking it right? Times Square is Manhattan.
Junior's.
Manhattan. Well, the original Junior's, but there's a Junior's. So I think I'm peeking. There's a Junior's in Times Square now.
Now, what is that? You know what I noticed? I noticed when tourists come to New York, you guys find stuff that we don't even know about, and we live here.
Because y'all don't go to Times Square. That's just like, you know,
that's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when I lived in Chicago, where people be like, you don't go to the Oprah show? No, fool, nobody be going to the Oprah show. Nobody know what's around the Oprah show. But the thing is, though, I took a portable setup. I had this with me, and everybody that watched this show probably knows by now I'm an MPC dude. But I did get a Push 2 a while ago, and every now and then there was a time when I actually put the MPC up for this, and Bryce came through, Upright came through and showed me some dope stuff with it. And you know, I get along with it, but you know, sometimes you just be ready to speed around thing. But if I can tie myself to it, then it's gonna be some dope stuff. So
Did you work on it when you were away?
I did.
You did get it up and running? Because I know we had talked and you had some issues, but I guess it was like some other old MIDI driver or something that was screwing you up.
Yeah, so that's what it is, right? So my laptop, I've had it for years, and every single MIDI device, USB MIDI device that I've ever reviewed was still sitting in yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I had to go in and clear out all that stuff from the MIDI or the audio MIDI setup on my Mac. And then once I got all that stuff out of there, then I was able to like Push 2 came right up without a problem. And so
let me ask you this, because I have like a list of must-haves when I go out, you know, portably, because everybody knows my setup is always super portable. What was your list? What did your list look like? And I want to share my list as well.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I had Push 2. I was real simple, though. Just my MacBook. I had Push 2, and then I had these iLoud monitors, which
nice.
I'm a fan of these now that I've used them like in a real scenario. And so when I do the review, I got a couple things that I wish these things did. But overall, these joints, and it was, what the weird thing is that I had to full of the volume because they bump. And I was thinking, I'm gonna disturb you in this hotel.
Was this a hotel? The hotel setup, or was it like you could sit up in a cafe with it as well?
Well, I don't know if I could sit. Well, I could sit up in a cafe, one of those shared tables. I could have, because it wasn't too bad. Let me see if I can flash a picture of it.
What was the low end like, though? I mean, could you?
Yeah, the low end was pretty good, man. I can't front on the low end. It was pretty.
You got
nice.
any idea of the spec? Like, does it go down around 80 or what?
Let's see. I'll have to pull.
I kind of doubt that. I would be surprised if those things are hitting like 50 hertz or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I would think.
Well,
I would think that they're closer to like.
But let me see what the frequency range is. Yeah, that's a good question, man.
Because I've been kind of looking. I can't get like too portable of monitors. I like working outside of the studio, but every time I go buy like actual portable studio monitors, I end up like finding another like 5 inches or something that I really like, and I get regular studio monitors because I'm like, oh no, I just sold myself on these. So I've been looking at I have like a Bose SoundLink Mini, like the little guy, and it's Bluetooth. It's cool.
So the frequency response is actually I don't know why they have 2 of them here. Oh, because there's switches on the back of them where it's negative.
Okay, it's got roll offs and
yeah. So the frequency response is as low as 55 hertz and as high as 20 kilohertz. That's at the negative 3 dB, and then at the negative 10. Then it's 45 hertz to 22 kilohertz.
Okay, so it drops off really sharp right around like just below 50 or so. It starts dropping off really sharp.
Yeah.
But that's really good. I mean, for how small those things are.
Yeah, man.
Now, Corey,
got some bump, man.
Now, Corey, let me ask you this, because I use I'm not gonna lie to you. I make beats in the studio, and then I have another small setup in the house when I don't want to sit in front of the big monitors. You know, like how you do, Ken, at the kitchen table.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I do the kitchen table setup, I have an iLoud, which is again IK Multimedia.
Yeah.
I'm telling you something. I can hear my drums better on those iLouds than I do in my big setup. Like it.
That's something that
I would agree with that,
is really good to do. Like a lot of the times for just producing, I don't think flat monitoring is nearly as important as when you're actually mixing or finalizing a sound. But like if you've got a separate set of monitors like that, it comes really in handy when you're mixing, because then you can kind of bounce between the two and say, oh, this is how this is sounding on this type of setup. So you do stuff like that?
Yeah, we have a couple of different speakers we use for reference monitoring. When we were mixing, I like to mix at low volumes anyway. Turn it way down. If it sounds good down, you turn it up and it's going to sound good usually.
So Corey, like usually,
go for it.
I'm sorry. No, what I was going to say is when I do like my portable, like what's in my bag, I'm going to actually do something like that. But I usually carry, lately I've been carrying my wireless Bluetooth Korg microkey joint, because I just for less wires and crap. Yeah. And then I never leave the house with the push though.
So
I never leave with the push because it's too big.
You think it's not portable enough?
It's not portable enough for me. And then the reason why I don't use the push for portability is because I use the Maschine Mark II to be portable. But because with Maschine Mark II, I can actually have like any template I want. So I could switch over and make the Mark II control Ableton. Then I can have it switch over and trigger battery for me. If I wanted to use Maschine, I can do that. So I can use anything with just one controller.
Oh, that's dope.
Do you find much latency on that?
No, I haven't. Unless the batteries are dying. If the batteries are dying, I'm fucked. Oh, excuse my French.
No, it's all good. So listen, this is one thing that I wanted to take with me, but I totally forgot it. Right?
Oh, that would have been the
shit. You should have just sent that to me.
Yeah,
send it to me too.
No problem. I'll just break it in half and send it over your way.
I think it's good because it does individual key aftertouch on it, right?
It does.
Yeah, it does. And it's Bluetooth, but you still have your trusty USB wires. So what my thought is that this would be my setup.
Oh no, that's it.
Right? Like this.
Dude. Yeah, that's
and
it
all goes into the book bag just easily. I mean, I had this stuff just right down in my, minus this because I totally forgot about it. But you know what's cool about me forgetting about this is that
you had to use the key
since I'm not. Yeah, you have to use the pads, and so I was kind of getting used to that, and that was cool too.
The scale modes on push 2 are awesome, man. They're super useful.
Yeah. Well, what I thought was great for you though, Corey, is just having that push is forcing you to use Ableton correct in the right way and not get like sideswiped.
Yeah.
You know, that's an ill setup. And then your keyboard, the Bluetooth, I think that's better because the Korg one, you still have to put batteries in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
With
this
that,
one is charged. See, it's a battery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
this
only
is
reason why I didn't
battery
get that
storage.
one is because it doesn't have a full note. It's like half a note.
You mean octave?
No, like when you're pressing on it, it's like half a note. Like,
Oh, I got you. I got you.
yeah.
Yeah, the
You talk about the
rise.
key, bro?
Yeah, the keypad. Yeah, I like a full note because the Korg one is like semi-weighted too. It's like kind of like you get a full.
I see.
Yeah, you get a full note. That's the only thing that kind of threw me off. And then that little thing, I'd break it all up in my bag. It wouldn't work.
Hey, Corey, just real quick, I wanted to inform everybody who the guy sitting next to me is because you don't see that. But this is Dan. Dan Andre is with the band Dark Narrows, so you can check him out online, darknarrows.com. But he does a lot of you handle a lot of the electronics of the band also, right? Like guitars and
I play guitar, bass. I do all the we kind of split duties on the drum sequencing and all the keyboard work and
okay,
like that.
Yeah, and they're based out of Baltimore, so so he kind of came up from a ways down south to come up to here and make fart noises on my
Well, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you.
Dedicated.
That's right. That's right. So, and I've known him for ages since we were in a band a long time ago that we won't talk about. We won't talk about that band.
Ken, what's your portable setup?
My portable setup changes constantly. So, but at the end of the day, like
it's like I just tucked the Matrix Brute under my arm and go for it.
I wish, man. That thing is heavy. That thing is seriously heavy. Like if it was maybe 30 pounds lighter, I would do that. But no, my portable setup is I throw this into a backpack now. I have a lot of different things. Like a lot of the times I'll take a Maschine MK2. I don't like the micro at all. I think the micro is garbage. But I like the Maschine MK2. So sometimes I'll grab that. I have a MPC 1000 that sometimes I'll take. I don't really like that very much either. But I'll show you. I've got a bunch of very small synthesizers and little things just kind of all laying around.
You can't see it, but yeah, it's everywhere.
So I've got,
I could tell by your face, yo. You looked over and like, look, he's digging through a box of small synthesizers.
So I got like the work stat. Check this out, Stoney. You'll like this. I gotta send you one of these. I'll make a gift for you and send you.
Oh, yo, I want the lunchbox, man.
This is a lunchbox.
We have an anniversary coming up, so we could do that.
That's right. And this was sent to me by a guy by the name of Citizen. He does kits. And so inside it is a modular synth. And so you can USB power this one. And
oh my God.
Yeah, like I just grab little bits of gear. Sometimes I'll grab a couple of modules out of here. And if I'm making music, like maybe the sub fatty and a drum machine, and then I'll just, I usually have it with my laptop, but that's kind of what I do. But as far as monitors, I'll either do headphones or I'll do, like I said, the Bose SoundLink Mini, which it's not flat response, but you hear what you're doing. So, you can have fun with it. But I've been kind of looking online to look for a different alternative that doesn't make me fall down the rabbit hole of buying all new monitors again. Because every time I do that, I'm like, man.
No, Ken, I'm serious. The iLoud.
I tell you though, Ken, these iLoud micro-mounted monitors joints, even the iLoud original, I got that in the other.
I like the iLoud because of the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that I might have to look into.
Now, here's the thing about the iLoud. The iLoud has a battery. You can unplug it and it still keeps ticking, but it's Bluetooth, so then you don't have any wires either for the audio or the power. Now these things, they are Bluetooth.
No. The iLoud has
they're not the same. The iLoud joint is like you can clearly just rock with those with that.
Yeah. The iLoud. The cool thing about the iLoud is you have both. You have if you could unplug it and still plug the wire in without using the Bluetooth also.
Word, that's true. Well, see, the point that I'm making with these though is that they're Bluetooth compatible, so you could link it to your device with Bluetooth, but it still requires a wire between the two devices, and it still requires the power but it also is a I think it's a much more powerful speaker combo. But still, I've rocked with the regular iLoud in a hotel room when I had my MPC studio, and that was perfect for that. You know what I mean? It's like straight up perfect for it.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot the MPC.
Now the iLoud is all one piece. I'm looking at it on Sweetwater right now, $249, and is that stereo input?
It's a mini jack in the back.
But it's stereo, right?
Yeah, it's stereo. Yeah. And I'm telling you, Ken,
I can rock.
And then monitors. I swear by these things. I swear by them.
Hold on, let me. I gotta go back. Yeah. I think I could see me using that. I'd like to go between what's the new one called that Corey had?
The iLoud micro monitors.
Micro monitors. Yeah, I'd like to check out between the two and just. Can you connect the micro monitors together to like for carrying purposes?
Nah, you'd have to rig something for it.
What I was thinking though is that like it would make sense if they had like some kind of like clip that you could just slide them into each other so that when you wanted to walk with them, like you carry them.
That would be good.
Yo, IK, why don't you guys hire me and I'll show you what's up?
You watching Star? You got a applicant over here.
Yeah, but no, that would be, to me, like it would make sense that they had some kind of connection where you could put them together and they'd have like a little plastic handle built into the molding or something so that you could carry it all as one piece. Yeah, and then when you get to your hotel, you just unhook them, set them up, and then annoy your neighbors.
So let me just tell you two things about my portable setup. And somebody was just mentioning the JDX, what was it? The Roland JDXi as part of their portable thing. Now, one thing that I was missing, because I just got all kinds of soft synths in my on my computer, so Ableton, I was using synths from that. But I got to tell you, one thing I was really missing was my modular. And so I was like, next time I just might throw this in my carry-on. This little guy, well, listen, disarray right now, but I said next time I just might throw this into my carry-on, but I'll need to get a power for this because I've since
I'll send you my address on Corey. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I'll send you a good picture of this joint.
Okay.
I was just kidding.
Wait, put it in a frame. Modular.
In the frame, right. And so yeah, that was the one thing. I was like, damn, I wish I had my modular here. And I didn't think to install Reactor 6 blocks because I could have totally just installed that. It's on my desktop computer, but not on my laptop. And the other thing is I'm such a noob, man, with thank goodness for Joe and pushtutorials.com. And I remember like he gave me I got a login to that. So I logged in and guess what I went on there to learn? I feel like such a brand new dude for even saying this. I got on there just to learn how to sample into the Push 2 and felt like a brand new dude. So I was sampling stuff and chopping and feeling like I was doing something.
Hey, hold on, Dan's got his mobile setup and we're gonna hold these up. So this is his mobile setup.
A 707? Is that 707 or
yeah, we got a 707, we got a 55. What else we got over here?
The 505.
We got the 505. Yeah.
Oh. That's a portable setup?
Yeah, this is the portable setup.
This is the portable setup, the DR55. You gotta have it.
Yeah.
Man, listen. No, I think your portable setup is the dopest. Straight up.
I quit.
Look, original Boss stickers.
There you go.
What? He over here with new old stock and everything.
New old stock, baby.
Hey, Corey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Real quick, can you share with us, because a lot of times, like, with my mentorship, like a lot of new producers are like so excited when they learn new things, like how to first sample and everything. Mm-hmm. Even with all of your experience, could you share with everybody how you felt doing that again with the Push?
Oh man, before I knew how to do it, this is what the problem was. I was sitting there, I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and sample something else of something. I had my iPhone there, and YouTube is the endless virtual crate. So I was like, let's go ahead and sample something. And I literally sat down in front of the thing and realized, like, oh, I have never sampled with this. Now let me just tell you, I've had, Ken, how long have I had Push 2? It's been over a year. Has it been 2 years? I don't know. No, it's probably been over a year.
Yeah. Did you get it around the same time I did, or? No, I think I got it
early.
early. That's right.
Yeah, you got it early.
But and I'm still kind of in the same boat that you are, that I have so many other tools that do similar jobs that it's hard to focus on just using push when I have, for drums, I have Maschine, I have MPC, I have Drum Brute. And then, so like I'm bouncing back and forth, and then I'm used to working linear. So like, then I'm like, well, I have Studio One V3 and I can jump into that. But really, Ableton Live, it's like the writing's been on the wall for such a long time that like, hey, you really just need to be staying inside of there. And then maybe on final mixdown, switch over to your linear DAW of choice. But for the most part, the actual creation and things that you can do with samples and, all that stuff, that's really where I need to be more. And
let me tell you, man, that's what, when I did it, well, I'll tell you, let me just answer the core of the question though. When I finally did it, and I went on to Joe's site and it showed me exactly what to do, just getting over the couple things of like, it's a different mindset. It's like I go into a mode on the MPC and I sample, and then I go into another mode. On push, I was just sampling the pad, hit convert it to simpler or drum pad, and then easily chop. It felt like feeling like I was conquering things, you know what I'm saying? I was like, word, I chopped that, word, I got that. Oh man, now and then I could see as I was like, oh, I converted to this joint and it spreads it across the pads. I was feeling like $1,000,000, man.
But you know what? The reason why I asked that is because this is not to take anything away from us educators or people who give tips and everything, but there's nothing more rewarding than digging into a piece that you just took time to get to, and then once you get in the rhythm, it's just, man, that feeling of getting it done yourself and touching the pads and actually doing it never ends. Even though you have experience on tons of gear, even Ken is like the genius boy, right? And shit, every time you get a new piece, it feels brand new,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And then what's also interesting too, it felt good to sample again, because I'll tell you this, if you follow anything that I do, you probably know that I do this whole synth bap thing, which is a boom bap with lots of synths and a lot less sampling of records, but sampling of my own, melodies and sequences and stuff. And the same thing with mod bap, modular boom bap. That whole thing is me, thinking of everything as a record and sampling it. However, I have not sampled in the traditional sense. I haven't done that since before I got Push 2. So me sitting in a hotel room with just my computer and Push 2, and all of a sudden I had the urge to sample because I didn't have hardware synths around me, even though I had software.
You know what? And it's funny you said that, because a lot of times I hear people, referring to Push and Ableton in the electronic world so much that even with you being such a boom bap and an authentic like drum connoisseur, you know what I'm saying? For you to say that is like, this thing, you can do anything with it.
Well, the other thing is in all honesty, even though you say like, oh, I don't have all this stuff with me, and so I'm going to go back to sampling, which is fine. Like I'm the same route, but man, the way that Push loads up software synthesizers and even the built-in synthesizers and samplers and everything onto the Push controller, and all the knobs and all the parameters are right there, easy to read. Like, man, it's so nice that it's like, it almost makes me feel less inclined, because I'm like, man, I could just, I can do crazy, synthesizer stuff right on Push 2, and it sounds fantastic. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah. That's actually what's up though. Like, I did load some soft synths, and that is dope. Like, especially when I start realizing, oh, you can go into the devices and start really digging into that. And that's why I reached out to y'all about performance effects. And we'll talk about that at one point. But like, just because I was sitting there with tunnel vision on Push 2, I started thinking of things that I had maybe kind of wanted to explore and hadn't explored yet.
Nice.
So it was a dope experience.
But see, that's the best part of getting into something new. Like I was asking the guys this morning, Drum Brute versus the what was the thing I said? The Drum Brute and
the circuit.
The circuit. And the reason why I ask about that is because I know that once I get deep into those things, it's going to trigger other areas that, again, we don't normally do.
Yep, it's true. And then, you know what's interesting about even the question of those two devices. That's why I kind of thought about it, was like, circuit versus drum brute, because I've obviously used both of them, but I guess it really depends on what you want to do, and that's such the regular answer. Like, I guess you can get that answer to anything.
Right.
But you know what's dope is that they update circuit all the time, and then when they're updating it, they're giving it a whole bunch of new features and stuff that are really dope for it to be able to flip samples and be able to make it sound like you're using more than you're actually using. Actually, some of the stuff that it can do, I've only seen on the rhythm, with the way you can take one step and trigger something different than what you have loaded and all that. But
because I think like my next thing will be like drum brute. What's the other one again? Circuit, and I'm thinking about the 404, the Roland joint also. You know, because these are like standalone units, but then they feel like MIDI control. Like they feel like the controllers feel. You know what I'm saying? Like it's portable also. You know what I mean? And I could just take it anywhere with, you know, something outside of just controllers.
And that's what I think is dope, right? Because okay, so this makes me think of the standalone situation that we got going on coming. It seems like the standalone groove box is like back. Circuit is one of those pieces, right? And,
now,
it's such a small piece.
Do you think it's due to the performance aspect of how producers are approaching? Yeah.
Totally. I totally think so. I mean, because the other thing is, what's the SP404? I mean, this thing has created such a stink on the beat making circuit that some people may not even realize that there's a whole subculture of SP404 users. But I think circuit is getting to be the same way, because, you know, it has its limitations, but it does so much. And it's real dope the way you can do those things. And it makes you be creative with how you, so yeah, it's totally geared towards performance. And I tell you, if I still had circuit, which I reviewed it and had to send it back at some point, but if I still had that, I probably wouldn't have took push. That's a strange thing there. But I probably would have been thinking about the most portable thing I could do, and that's obviously more portable than push.
Now let me ask you, circuit, would you have been able to use it as a MIDI controller?
That is a good question. I think you can use it as a MIDI controller. I haven't done that. But yeah, that's a good question. I can't remember if it was a part of the thing. You should be able to, though. And if not, if not, and I hate that I can't remember or not, but if not, I'm sure it's going to be something that they put into the updates.
Right.
I
think that's another feature that, like, pieces like the Maschine Jam, people are like super excited about that, because you can control Ableton with it. You can control Logic and Bitwig. You know, it's like,
yeah, that's dope. That's dope. And
like double duty type thing. You know, I wish the push. I hope Ableton steps it up where you can actually use the push for something outside of Ableton.
Well, you can.
Yeah, it can. I mean, it can be used as a standard USB MIDI controller. Is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, but you know,
I used it I knew I used it to kind of control external synths, but I didn't use it to be a DAW controller of any sort.
Right.
But you can set up different templates and stuff, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. But I like how the Mark II does it. Like, we can just literally. Yeah.
If it had like a standalone editor.
Right. I really love that controller editor. I wish more companies had something that intuitive to go deep into and do custom mappings.
That's kind of what I was pushing Arturia for on the Matrix Brute, is because you have so many controls on that thing. You can use it to MIDI control other VSTs and stuff, but it'd be nice to have like an actual controller mapping and be able to use the Matrix on it, you know, to launch clips and that sort of thing, you know?
Right.
So let me also tell you, here's I was going to take this portable turntable with me too for my sample. I'm just kidding. No, I don't have this joint, but I wanted to talk about it because it's crazy, and because me and Ken, we had a World War III text about it the other day.
we have a slight disagreement about it. We have a slight disagreement about this product.
So it's called.
Okay, I want to hear what Ken says.
But hold on, Corey. Weren't you the same person that I had the disagreement with about direct drive versus belt drive turntable?
You know I'm the one.
You know I'm the one. All right. So I just wanted to clarify that, you know, your opinions don't matter.
Yeah,
so, okay,
of course,
we're good.
Of course. Well, see, here's the thing. Ken is one of those internet folks that if you have a different opinion than his, then that's a stupid opinion, right?
No. I just like to clarify the point to the point where you realize that you should have never had a difference of opinion. That's all.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I'm glad. Yeah, whatever, man. Listen. Here's what it is. I'm gonna give y'all some backstory, right? So I think for a little while now, I've been looking for a turntable because although I say I haven't sampled, but that's always a part of my repertoire, right? So I'm always like, okay, when I redo this, I'm gonna get another turntable so that you know, I can sample all these records that I got around here. Anyway, we had this conversation and Ken kept recommending these really expensive direct drive turntables. And I was like, son, ain't nobody trying to cut no records. Yeah, do you? Send it over. I'll trade you a picture of this modular thing over here.
I got you.
So here's the thing, Stoney. The dude started reaming me about the fact that you should not be sampling on a belt drive turntable, and I was like, "That's
not how it went. That's not how it went."
It boiled down to that. That's what it boiled down to.
It boiled down. No, we were getting.
Tell them what it was.
I was explaining to you about how the torque of the turntable works, and if you're doing hip hop centered things, that if you're using a belt drive turntable and you're doing things like leaving hand on a platter and that sort of thing, you can cause issues with a belt drive table. It's not they're just not good for that. They're not really built for that. Okay, they're built for put the needle on, you let the record play, you don't touch it. Okay, but if you have a belt drive, you can have issues.
I know what you're talking about. It'll start to drag. But then didn't I send you a video where I put my hand on the record to stop it? I let it go, and the way you've made it sound is going to take 20 seconds to spin back up to regular speed.
No.
And I was like, I just put it to the previous sentence of the thing or the previous measure, and by the time it gets to what I want, it's long since been up to
I was more getting down to, you know, the way in which you use the record. Plus, there's a lot of sampling tricks that over the years that I kind of developed that I found that just don't work as well on
David Ramirez, you're not allowed to agree with Ken in the text chat over there.
So like there's little techniques, like if you're sampling records, one of the things that I like to do is I like to do like a manual LFO on my table by like bubble taps is what it's called. If you're a turntablist, you know about bubble taps. But so basically you just lightly flutter your finger on the record and you can cause it to bounce and slow down the pitches, and you can do it very evenly. Whereas on a belt drive table, if you try to do that, the lack of torque and the way that they run, it gets sloppy. All right. And Corey, you might be okay with sloppy, but I'm like, spend a little bit.
I am actually. But see, but you just proved my exact point. Like if I'm not doing any kind of turntable or the scratching, if I'm not doing turntable stuff, that don't really matter to me. You literally are putting the needle down on the record and sampling what you need to sample. And I've used this same belt drive for about 92 years, and it's been fine.
And there's advantages to belt drives also. Like depending on the table that you get, there are certain advantages. You can get certain noise advantages using higher end belt drive tables. But that's not really what we were talking about. Your opinion was wrong. Let's move on.
Okay, we're gonna move.
Hey Corey, for the future, anything dealing with DJing, making beats on the MPC specifically, Ken is what you call a DJ snob and a beat making snob. He is not going to let off.
No, it's true. And, your opinion is wrong. Mine is fact, and that's how it is. But no, moving on to this table right here.
So yeah,
you showed this to me, and I kind of like had a slight aneurysm, and I kind of tweaked out a little bit when I saw it.
Let me tell everybody what it is. This is a Kickstarter for some new fly technology. That what you're seeing is an actual turntable, right? It's called the world's first intelligent turntable. And although you can't see the video, I think I wanted to show it to you. You can't hear the video, but I'll show it to you. Y'all hear that? You can't hear
It's
that.
Bluetooth also, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Man, I have so many problems with this thing. I'm like thinking, where do I begin?
Okay, so you see how it's spinning there. The needle is inside.
Yeah, that might be a problem too. No.
So you see how they designed it right? That's the whole turntable right there that he's holding in his hand.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm not mad at it, yo.
So let me just say a couple of things. This will be great for like hipsters in their dorm room, or
hipsters and bacon and
people who don't actually care about the sound quality of their music but want to look like they care about the sound quality of their music to people who don't know any better. It'll be great.
So why do you say that though? Because I gotta say I'm interested to hear why you say that.
Oh, there's so many reasons. Okay, so first off, let me ask you this. What's the main reason why you would want to listen to music on vinyl? What's the main reason?
The crackle.
Shut your face. What is the
main? I'm gonna let you say it because I don't necessarily agree with that.
Because it's an analog signal, okay? That's you really break it down when people are saying, okay, well,
it's the pitch for me. I don't know.
You shut up.
I like the pitch.
The pitch.
So they talk about, okay, well, analog versus digital, and then you could talk about the dynamic range and all these sorts of things. But at the end of the day, one of the main determining factors of people wanting to still have vinyl, aside from it just being a great physical medium, is the fact that it's analog and you have analog quality going through. If you have a nice, analog mixer and your setup is going out that way, you've got pristine sound there and it's great, right? This thing, the very first thing that it's going to do is it's going to convert it using some cheap ass converter inside of that thing.
How do you know it's a cheap converter,
and then it's going to send it over cheap ass Bluetooth, through the air. So your audio quality already is going to be a hot buttered garbage.
Ken, I'm reading the thing right now, and it don't say in the specs cheap ass converter. I'm sorry, bro. I think you might have.
No, you don't think that they would advertise that it's a cheap ass converter?
No, I don't.
That's not a selling point. Oh, sorry.
You know what it reminds me of? There used to be those. It was like a little toy van, like a Volkswagen.
That's
van,
exactly what I was
drive around the record.
And no,
like
one of the things that they talk about in this is that they say that this thing like has it keeps the right pressure on the needle and all. And I'm not sure what technology they're using on that, but I do remember those vans, and they would gouge the living crap out of your records.
Oh yeah.
So I can only imagine that it's going to be better quality than that. But with that being said, they also don't really talk about, at least last time I looked at it, I don't think it talked about the different cartridges that you can use on it. So I'm assuming you're probably going to be really limited to their needle designs or what they have on there. And just, oh God, there's so much about this thing. The fact that,
actually stylist for analog sound, but yeah, from what I thought I read on here at one point, and I can't find it now, I thought, or at least I heard it on here, that it uses standard cartridges of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, but the question is what format are those cartridges, and are you using magnetic cartridges? Like there's a lot that goes into that as well. And then for each cartridge, you have to set your weight properly as well. So it makes me wonder about that. But even that all being said, you still have motor and housing is all in one piece on this thing.
Okay, but Corey, really quickly, guys, is this a pro piece or is it a consumer piece?
It's a consumer piece, obviously.
If it's a consumer piece, then I mean,
right?
It's just
it's obviously consumer. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, who's really going out buying vinyl records to listen to it through some crappy like digital player that has the motor built into the same house?
No,
I'll be amazed if this thing has a low noise.
Two things, Ken.
I'd be amazed.
Two things. I think you assume that people care.
Right.
I think right now people use vinyl, like the resurgence in vinyl is not because people are audiophiles, although we may think that just because of what kind of arena we're in, but people are not into that. They don't care. This is just.
Well, I mean, there's douchebags of all kinds.
Yeah, well, well, I'm saying there's kids like my daughter and her friends. They all have turntables. Nothing expensive, just cheap little turntables you can get in that same store that you buy dresses in. You know what I'm saying?
For those people, I agree. For those people, it's going to be fine. But to me, this thing is just like, dude, just get like a half decent turntable is going to be better than this thing. Now, granted, this thing's got some great things in it, like skipping tracks and that sort of thing. But to me, oh man, this thing just
what's
like
the other thing. So you can skip tracks. You can.
It's portable. Yeah, that's the other thing.
If I was going on a
It's
picnic,
very
I
portable.
want to listen to vinyl on a picnic. But
Yeah, on a picnic. There you go. So you can take iLoud speakers and this
Who's gonna
turntable.
run on a picnic? I don't want to hear this crap. People with long hair and hippies bands. I don't want to hear it.
Look how beautiful that is. Little bitty 45 record right there. You just put this thing on top and it knows where the
I'm not gonna mind it. I think it's adorable.
Yeah, I think it's good. Thing too. It comes with a couple of these platters, a smaller one and a larger one. It may come with several of them. And for those that can't tell from this turntable called Love, the needle is housed in the actual device, and the record doesn't turn. The device turns. So that's kind of dope.
Yep. I like it. I want to try it for sure.
It's not for me, and that's totally okay. You know.
And then look, you get an app with it, Ken. What do you mean? This is the way of the future. You get an app.
Yeah, that's dope.
How could you not love it?
We're talk about a portable turntable. Here, hold this.
All right, here we go.
Look,
Let's talk about portable turntables for a second. Okay? We're going to talk about portable turntables. Let me show you the best portable turntable you can really get. This right here, and let me say, and this is limited edition too. So, you see this?
Handy tracks, no doubt.
Best Stacks handy tracks. Don't waste your time with the Newmark garbage, because the Newmark ones, I've had 3 of those and all of them died on me. But the Vestax handy tracks, this sucker is battery powered. Use this when you're record digging, and
Bluetooth.
You could eat my ass if you're talking about Bluetooth. I'm sorry, was I not?
Oh my God!
Your ass has Bluetooth? What
No,
could that possibly be useful for?
Oh yeah, those are the fart sounds. So we've got headphone line out, and then you got line input as well. And of course, mine's all dusty because it's in the back with my records. But yeah, if I'm going portable, I'm using this guy.
Is it beveled on the edges there, Ken? It's like flat on the bottom but beveled on the edges?
Yeah, it's flat down here, right?
Okay.
Like this. And this thing,
Nice.
you know, they're not that expensive. How much was that fancy turntable that you were showing to all the kids? How much was that running for?
790,000.
No. That's how much.
Excuse me. That's how much they've gotten pledged, right? Yeah.
I could show you some turntables that cost about that, but they don't stream Bluetooth.
The $329 is the initial pledge.
$329.
$329, and you receive the Love turntable. But that's $270 off of retail price, so it's $599 retail. It comes with 2 record bases, black, white, and red, and you can select. Well, yeah. So that's
you better be cooking me breakfast, like, dude. That's ridiculous price point. I'm sorry, that's insane. Bro. You can get a Technic 1200 for less than that.
Right.
But can you put it in your backpack?
You damn right. I've done it before.
Depending on how big your backpack is.
I think you forget who you're talking to.
Ken, what is that in your backpack? Cello and a harp.
I can hire the bands that I want to hear play for that.
Ken has a micro brute in his bag.
I do. Actually, I got one right here.
He puts backpack straps on the micro brute.
He's got the micro brute. And this dude had an MPC in his truck one time. Remember, Ken?
Yeah. I used to keep my MPC in my car, and I had a power inverter and a radio adapter.
He used to make tracks in the car with the drum machine.
Oh, dead serious.
The MP, real talk.
Yep. I used to drive around making beats, man. Oh God.
We've been portable for years.
I know the cops would have stopped you and been like, nah, I don't know what this is. You're going to have to explain this, Unibomber.
They wouldn't have stopped them for that. Trust me.
There's so many other things.
Other stuff they could get them for. So, hey, I wanted to also talk about I know Ken will be glad to move on from the Love turntable. And David Ramirez will too. I see. Is David your cousin? Because he agrees with everything you said.
No, but he sounds like an intelligent person.
It's, you know what? It's the hair, Corey. It's the hair.
It's the hair. It's really relatable. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But no, I could dig that. Honestly, I kind of dig that Love turntable. But for sampling, I mean, obviously for stuff that we would use it for, it's not. It's literally a consumer type of deal. Look beautiful and talk about new stuff, right?
If it was $150 and marketed to kids, then I could see it. But at that price point, no, that's marketed to people who are seriously trying to listen to music. And if you're seriously trying to listen to music in a setting like that, no. It'll
find a market. It'll definitely find a market, man. Because you know you can find all kinds of very expensive things that we would all say like, why would anybody ever want to? But I do think that's dope. So I also wanted to talk about. Go ahead. What'd you say, Snowden?
No, I think Ken is right. It's very hipster, very niche. You know, very. You go to a high-end party.
All for anything that'll sell vinyl, like anything that'll up vinyl sales. I do like that because I love seeing that vinyl's making a resurgence, and I like seeing people make money off of that. I think that's a good thing. So
I feel like I've seen one of those in a Sky Mall catalog before.
Yeah, really.
That it looks like something would be
looks like that.
So hey, here's the other bit of news that's happened, right? And damn, I hate to say that. I never ever liked saying here's the news because that sounds too official. Anyway, word on the street says that Tatsuya is leaving Korg. And he's the dude that designed everything that Korg has put out in the last couple years. From the what is it? I mean, he did the mini log, monologue. Is it the
Volcas? He did the Volcas. He did the Monotrons. He did the Mono Tribes. All that stuff.
Yeah, he's announced that he's leaving. So I watched Nick's Meet the Makers.
Okay.
And it was kind of cool. He was just kind of talking about how he got the job and how he was into stuff. And, regular tech head type dude, like most of us are, he started tinkering with stuff. And he literally, he made it sound like he just, had built a synth or I don't know if it was a modular synth or a synth altogether. Then he went to Korg and was like, yo, what do y'all have jobs? And they saw what he built and they hired him. I know it's oversimplifying it, but it's pretty much that. Like he built something. He said, I never had no urge to work for any other company, but when I went to them to show them what I did, I was hired. And within a little bit of time, the Monotron or whatever and Volcas and all that stuff started coming out. And now that he's dropped he designed mini log and monologue, now he's leaving, going somewhere else, but I guess he won't say where he's going. I think he's moving to Germany now. Is there any synth companies in Germany?
There's quite a few. A
few. Who's he going?
So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I've heard different rumors, but I don't know. I just hope wherever he's at, he just keeps putting out products because I like just about all of the products that he's been involved with. They've all been really cool. And he's got really great mentorship behind him too, because he worked with the MS-20 designers and he got to have hands-on with a lot of great synth designers. So that's the way that
learn a ton of stuff.
That's the way that those companies should be doing it. Now I think it's a shame that Korg lost him. And who knows what Korg is going to do next? Does Korg continue making cool analog products, or do we see that go away? Do they have somebody else to step in and fill his shoes?
Limited edition colors.
Put it all out every year.
The white MS-20, which still has the black sides.
Yeah,
that is a train wreck. Oh man.
But you know what the thing is, though, they still have all that intellectual property, so they'll probably, just like any place else, right? They'll start probably as Roger Lynn said when I interviewed him. Seems like they just shuffled the chairs on the deck. Yeah. Right. So they'll start shuffling the chairs on the deck and keep the products alive that they've come up with.
And it's not unheard of for somebody to, start at a company, get really good at what they do, and then not be properly compensated. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I'm just kind of speculating, but it's not uncommon for people to get good at your job at one place and then people not pay you what you're now actually worth. So you have to kind of move around a bit to really get compensated properly. So that wouldn't surprise me either.
You got to think though, like, what were they doing before he got there? You know, like they weren't doing much. I mean,
yeah. I mean, what can it? You know, we talk about it all the time. You know, these companies. You know, when you don't work for the company and you're on the outside looking in, you're saying, "Wow, these are amazing products." The business of the electronic product world is completely different than the consumer's experience in getting all this gear, right? So you see these guys and they're working super hard and they're innovative and they're getting paid McDonald's money. You know what I'm saying? Like literally getting paid McDonald's money. But we go to NAMM all the time. You see guys, we've been going to NAMM for the past 10 years, and you see the same people, but just different suits doing the same stuff with different companies. And they just literally bounce from the top 5 from here, there, here, and there, and they share the same technologies and go back and forth. And I think that's just the nature of this business at this point, where everybody kind of like, you see them enrolling one day, the next day they're at this company, and then they're back here, and you're like, wait a minute, it's the same people just rotating.
I think that's a good point, Tony. And I definitely think that part of this is that he was Tats is because I'm Tats. So Tats is kind of like became like a folk hero for synth guys around because he in like this whole analog resurgence with Korg. And that's why when you hear people say Korg is doing it right or Korg did this right, it's largely because, and I won't give it all only to Tats, because the way he says they work is that there's kind of quite a group of them that kind of collaborate to bring things together. But it seems like he's brought quite a bit to the table. So it's always interesting to see like, okay, Tats becoming like a folk hero.
Yeah, he got notoriety.
Leaving, going somewhere else. Yeah, he got the notoriety without a doubt.
And there's not wrong capitalizing off of a name, you know? I say if you got it, flaunt it.
Yep, I agree.
You know, so, but yeah, the other thing is that and we don't necessarily know that he's going to somebody else's larger company. Maybe he's going with a smaller company. We don't really know exactly what it is, but the synth culture right now is it's becoming more mainstream for people to buy smaller companies' products also. So you look at like the Eurorack market, and a lot of the Eurorack manufacturers are also putting out like desktop units that don't require separate case and power and that sort of thing. It's not impossible to see him ending up doing something with either a very small company or his own company, you know?
Yep. Actually, that would be interesting to see him do his own company and to kind of see, you know, what kind of freedoms that would give him. You know, because at that point you probably have total creative freedom, but then it would be a matter of how do you bring it to market and
exactly that can be a double-edged sword.
But if you got right, exactly. So that will be interesting to kind of see what's coming next. But I still think we're gonna see good things from Korg though, and don't we still got a 2600 to come from them? I don't care what nobody say, they're gonna do that 2600, and if they take too long, I'm gonna mess around and be a built one.
Well, I was looking into building one, and I'm telling you, like just the parts alone, it's a high dollar synth. You know what I mean? Like if you look at the TTSH, like you're up there around $1,600 worth of parts alone. That's not building time, you know?
Yeah.
So, but now, granted, if you did it all SMD and mass production line, that price comes crazy crashing down. But the question is if you did it in that way, in the same way that the MS-20 is done, the MS-20 Mini, is the same, are people going to want it the same way? And
it's true.
Also, the other thing is like it's got that spring reverb tank, like that. There's lots of little quirks about doing a ARP 2600. The speaker involved in it, all that kind of stuff. Like it would certainly be more expensive than that Odyssey that they did, and the Odyssey was what, $1,000?
Yeah, when it came out, it was $1,000, or was it more? No,
so I think it was about $1,000 price point. So I would think that it would still have to be more than that. So let's just say they were to do it for $1,500, like $14.99 or something, market value. Then you had to wonder, like, what's what's the real market for that thing? Because then you're in sub 37 range. You know, there's a lot of synthesizers at that price point that are really nice. You know, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't want it, because I would, but at the same time, I'm not the mass market for that. You know what I mean? Like I want everything under the sun.
There's a lot of competition at different price points, especially like the lower ones. You get, I mean, you're competing with everybody then.
Yeah, there's a lot of fish in the lower end. You know what I mean? Especially now, there's so much more than there ever was before. You know, and even now, there used to be, like you talk about, the sub $1,000 market for, you know, synths or whatever, and it wasn't. There was things down there, but it wasn't. I think it's saturated now to a point where you can divide the sub $1,000 market up further than just sub 1,000.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
That's how saturated it is. So it'll be interesting. But that 2600 joint though, somebody just said in chat, like, I don't see why they wouldn't do it. And that's kind of true, right? Because aren't they the Odyssey and the 2600? Like the Odyssey was kind of like a smaller version of the 2600. Am I wrong there?
Well, I'm saying, say that again.
So the Odyssey initially, when they dropped the Odyssey back in the days, wasn't that kind of like a sort of like a cut down version, or
it's a
version of the 2600?
It's a cut down version of the 2600 and kind of like an answer to the Mini Moog. So you know, I guess you would call it just like a performance mono synth. You know. Yeah.
So if you think about that, it's kind of like they already have the groundwork laid. I wonder, would it be some licensing issues or something, or some other issues, or maybe they're trying to get the things together, like you said, Ken. It has, you know, those extra things like a speaker and a reverb tank. Maybe they're trying to figure out how best to implement those things to stay at a certain price range, because that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Are they going to be able to sell that and have that same fanfare around it that the vintage joint has right now? Because, you know, supply and demand. It's not a lot of those out there. It's tough to get, and that's what makes part of it, what makes it such a incredibly dope thing. Like, it's kind of that mystique around it a little bit. So I wonder how much of that'll be gone.
Is it going to sell or sound like the original? I mean, like a lot of the new Roland stuff, like you compare it and it just doesn't sound like the original.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's always the thing there. And I remember when somebody did a comparison of the Korg ARP Odyssey with an original ARP Odyssey, you could definitely tell the difference. In general, it sounds pretty much the same, but I think that the newer stuff is cleaner and not as
well. You also have younger capacitors and tighter tolerances and that kind of stuff. So it's like at some point you also want to say, well, does it necessarily actually sound better in the vintage than the newer? Even though they're different, does that mean that it's better or worse? You know what I mean?
As I understand it, electronic components have come a long way since then too. They used to be a lot noisier, and they were leaky, if you know what I mean. And nowadays they're not as musical because they're doing away with that. It's pretty sterile.
The thing that I would want to see, though, I'd rather them, like, instead of putting all this R&D into that, like, if you really want a TTSH, you can find builders out there. I know a bunch of different builders out there that'll make them for you. And those things are awesome. Like, I have a friend of mine who just built one and he loves it. But I would rather see something.
I'm almost tempted to have him build mine.
Dude, I don't want to see them constantly re-releasing synths of the past. I want them to design something new that hasn't been done. With the new tolerances, you can do things that you couldn't do before. And there's lots of amazing things that they could build that, you know, haven't been built yet. So let's focus on something new as opposed to something old.
Or, I mean, there's so much better sequencing technologies right now. I mean, you could put a modern sequencer in an old synth and just make a really cool product.
Yeah.
Hey, so my guy just texted me, because I don't know which synth companies are in Germany, but my guy just texted me and said Access is in Germany. Is that
Access is in Germany? Doepfer is in Germany. Like, seriously, the list of German synth companies is very long. Like, I'm not going to go through somebody. That would be.
I know MFB is there.
Yeah.
So what if he went to Access? Well. What about that? What do you think? Would that be a good marriage if Tats went to? No.
I don't know, man.
Well, Access is not known for.
It's kind of like that's like saying, well, somebody who's good at their job is going to this company. Would that be a good well?
Well, no. It's a little different. So here's why it's a little different, because he's made kind of like that analog market. He's a big contributor to the analog market, and he obviously has preference for analog or all that stuff. Even said in Nick's interview with him that like there's something that's more interesting about doing analog things than to just take code of something that's been done here and there. And we know clearly that Access is one of those companies that's like one of the dopest virtual analog companies out there that they obviously have. So do you think that would be a good marriage for this analog dude to?
It would be interesting. I'll just say that. Because they haven't released anything in God knows how long, and they're the same. They're owned by the same people that own Kemper profiling amps, right? And
I'm not a big fan of them, but yeah,
it's I don't know, man. Like there's
I hope he doesn't go there.
Like Radical. Who else? I mean, there's a lot of other companies out there. So like, who knows? I kind of doubt that that's who it is. To be honest with you,
I just wonder if wherever he goes, there's going to be a Volca.
It's gonna be a new Volca thing over there. We got the Volca snare. We got the first Volca snare. This
Volca virus.
The Volca virus. That's funny. Hey, so I want to go back. Ken, you were showing off your
pecs?
Your lunchbox.
Oh,
your pecs. No, don't show the pecs. That's a different show. Are you gonna go to the pecs? Of course, she was saying. with a lunchbox USB deal, because that's a USB power in that lunchbox, right?
Yeah. I can just literally just plug a where's it at? It's around here somewhere. Oh, here it is.
I hate to jump around, but I want to go back to that.
Yeah, let me show you real quick. I'm gonna grab my USB battery pack, which I believe I plugged in, so it should be charged. Yeah, here it is. Don't judge me.
The Kleenex box.
He was laughing at me because I have hard drives hidden inside of Kleenex boxes.
That's so weird, man.
So like this is I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me control my camera a little bit here. So if I do this, and then I believe I can hold on, advanced. I got a new camera, so I can do cool stuff.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Look at that. What? So this is a USB Jimmy Jam. That's the technical term. And if I plug this in, I don't know if you can see it now. Kill this light.
Oh, so right, like
nice.
Okay, so you're using that power pack to power the whole thing. That's what the whole deal
is.
So you could plug that to a computer and get power, or you could plug it to a battery pack. Or
it's USB powered. So if you want to be totally portable, I could throw this in there. I could put like the ana module, Trana module, which is like a speaker and distortion. I could put that in here, and then boom, I'd be ready to go.
Can you use that USB power in other cases besides the lunchbox?
Yeah. It's just like this little I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. Let me turn the light back on.
Because you turn the lights off.
Well, I like to get sexy in here. So shout out to Sound Oracle.
Shout out to Sound. I like to be sexy. Shout out to Sound Oracle. What show is this?
So yeah, inside of here, there's just like a little rail. Yeah, there's a little rail in here with power distribution, and then it's like the power supply is attached to that rail, and it's really small.
Hey Ken, would I be able to put a MIDI mod in there? Something that I could like
a MIDI module? Yeah. You could definitely do that. Now this thing doesn't power a lot of modules. It's only going to power, just a few modules. But
I'm little. I don't need a lot.
I mean, like if you wanted to have like an analog filter, maybe like some modulation, like an LFO or dual envelopes, like I have in there, maybe like an oscillator or two.
And especially
it would power that fine.
There's the Erica Sense Pico series, and then there's stuff. There's a lot of dope modular stuff out there that's like really small.
But,
you know
but
what
you
I
got to
mean?
keep in mind that it's
In
not
those
just
spaces.
about the size of the module; it's about the power consumption of the module.
That's true.
Okay.
That's a good point.
So it can be, you could have a small module that's got a powerful DSP chip on it, you know, and that could use up a chunk of change. But like you can put like, I've had like mutable instruments clouds in there or something, or put like the elements in there. I could have the elements in its own standalone case. You know what I mean? Which is cool because that's a fairly large module here. I'll zoom in again because I can do it and it's so fancy. I'm so happy.
Hey Ken, what are you using to zoom?
Yeah. Say that again.
What are you using to make the camera zoom?
His CI.
I got the new Logitech. Well, it's not new, but I have the Logitech 930E and C930E, and it comes with some software, so I can kind of.
Hey Ken, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. What's your guest's name again?
Dan.
Yo, Dan. What's your band setup? What's your band setup like?
For recording,
Garbage.
All garbage. No, we all of our drums are through drum machines. Like we usually sequence everything in Pro Tools and then like run it out through MIDI to I don't know. We use a 707. We're using the drum brute now. I kind of really like that.
Yeah, it's dope.
Our last album, we did a lot of the DR55 on that actually, which was really hard to isolate the drum noises without sampling them. It just kind of like a fun thing.
Are you like controlling all the drum machines, or do you like sync them together? Like, what's the setup? Like, how are you running everything?
We basically run everything out of Pro Tools with MIDI, and just use like the standard 5-pin DINs to connect everything. And I don't know.
Were you coming out of the drum brute going into what? Are you using any like pedals in between, or?
Well, I use a lot of pedals on my guitars. It really like on the drums we use a couple of compressors and stuff like that for the kicks and snares. We use a lot of like gated reverb on the snares too. Sometimes I guess we kind of had a real 80s sound on our last album.
Nice.
Our next one's going to be a little more scaled down and probably more natural sounding. But
you guys are tracking it through some nice stuff too, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I use the Claret to track everything. When we mix, we have a guy that does a pretty good job for us he's out of the UK. His name's James Aparicio, and he's worked like on Mute Records and stuff like that. So he does a lot of our mixing. We kind of just record everything and send it to him.
Cool.
He sends it back. I do a lot of my own mixing too. Just
are you going to do any freeze or anything like that?
What's that?
You going to do
Oh yeah, a buddy of mine has an extensive collection. I track a lot over there. He's got a lot of Chandler stuff. It sounds pretty good on my voice for vocals and stuff like that. As far as the drums, I don't know. We use some Heritage Audio stuff and some, I don't know, even a Golden Age pre-73 we used on a couple of
I liked it a lot, honestly.
I actually do like
those for a while. Hey, what kind of compressors are you using? Somebody in the chat wants to know.
Oh geez. Our last album we used a lot of compressors, and are really like at the mixing stage. I think a lot of the tracks got reamped into like SSL stuff and Neve and all that. So
let me ask you something. Are you guys? Are you tracking dry or wet? Like, are you actually tracking through with processing or no?
Actually, both. I usually try to run a dry signal and a wet signal at the same time. So we'll get the live performances down, and when we track, we'll do both, and then we can swap them out when we're mixing if we need to.
Are you guys using any mics for anything live or?
Really like for vocals, yeah, but we generally plug into the board for that. So I don't know. I mean, in a live situation, I don't think like it. I mean, sometimes miking a guitar cabinet sounds good, but for what we do, I like to run stereo off of my guitar signal. So I better just to plug straight into the board for me. You have to kind of have an amp sitting on stage, or else people think it's funny. But so I'll run that and then.
Are you using any DI boxes or no?
Yeah, we use radial stuff for that. Yeah. But I don't know. It was fun making the last album. We used a lot of like old gear. I'm actually working on a solo thing right now where it's all I'm using is the drum brute and the micro brute
and matrix brute for fart sounds.
Well, no, that's not on there yet. I got it. We'll add that post.
Hey guys, I had a question I wanted to ask you.
What's up? Those
little Roland portable synths. What do you guys think of those?
You talk about boutique?
Yeah, like the JV.
Didn't you have some?
I just sold mine.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want the real scoop or the edited?
Yeah, no, the real scoop. Give it to me raw.
Real scoop.
All right.
The real scoop. I used to have 3 of them, so it'd be interesting to see if I agree or don't agree. But I obviously don't have any of them right now, so we're probably on the same page.
Well, I was really excited for them to come out. I've always been a Jupiter 8 fan, and I've always wanted one. Never can afford it like most people, but I had the Arturia Jupiter 8 V series, the VST. That thing sounds really good, actually.
That's probably because I did some of the presets on it.
Good job.
No.
Never miss an opportunity there, Ken.
Yeah.
Never miss
yourself. Yeah. But I gotta say, like, I bought the module thinking like I was gonna make some kind of improvement, and really, like, I was just flat out disappointed. I mean, wow. The first thing that hit me was that the knobs are like gnome sized and they're all really close together. So go in and try to hit a button and you hit 4 others that you didn't want to. I'm pretty clumsy anyway.
And the Jupiter was the worst of those too, right? Like
Jupiter was the worst. The JP8 was the worst. I actually didn't use. I bought all 3 of them when they came out. And I'm not gonna front. They sound great. They sound really dope. Couple things I didn't like was the ergonomics of them, the Jupiter being the worst, and the poor MIDI implementation.
Which
at the point at the time,
fix that later on though. They
did fix that. And that's why I said at the time it was a very poor. I shouldn't even say poor. It was just like a barely implemented MIDI situation. It was just a very shallow MIDI implementation. And later on, they fixed it where you can start to use controllers to control those parameters. And before they only had like 3 different CC messages that would be recognized. And I thought that was just like ridiculous. But I will say that the Juno, I mean, all 3 of them were dope. My favorite was the JX, right? The JX303.
Right.
Yeah, that was my favorite of all.
Was it as portable as it looks?
Yep.
Wow.
You could easily throw them joints in any bag anywhere. I can almost stuff them in my back pocket. I mean, they are very portable.
I just felt like they kind of skimped on what they gave you for the money. It's like they had that cool little docking station where you can prop it up and everything. They could have thrown that in,
Yeah, that's true. They could have thrown that in.
Yeah, and it's like every step of the way they wanted to make more money off everybody. Oh, but you got to buy this and this, and I don't know. I expect
the idea too that what the 4 voices when. Would have been dope to have a few more voices. And then I remember when you chain them together, it steals voices in a weird way. That's
the other thing is that, so if you hook 2 of them together, I don't know if you ever tried this, but if you hook 2 of them together, you can play 8 notes, but if you, it's the way that you play. Like if you play, I think it's like a 3-note chord and then you play like another triad or something, it'll steal in the wrong way and it won't work properly or something.
Yeah, I think it wasn't prime time ready. And I think that if they keep updating the firmware for them, it's going to be some dope stuff. But I think overall, it sounds great. It's just the way it was implemented, the way it done. And I think they wanted to rush out.
And they were super tiny. Like they did not need to be that small.
Am I wrong though? Like the shape of them was weird too. I was trying to find a place to put it in my small little cramped space. Even though it's tiny, it's like you still had like jacks coming out of the back in weird places.
Yeah, that's true. I got a picture somewhere here when I was reviewing the Arturia Keylab 88. So the Arturia Keylab 88 obviously has this like sheet music stand that you could put it, but I used it to put the Roland boutiques across there. And the way the cables, and then it's 1/8-inch connectors, and then you have to put so the cables could end up standing like, you know, that tall off of the thing. And it was just a weird thing. But now they have stands and stuff for them that people have designed, so it makes it a little less awkward. But still,
you would think if you could join them together and like mix the voices and everything, like they would make it easy to connect them together, and just the form factor wasn't there. It was kind of clunky, I guess, just the way they executed it. But I mean, I liked it. I mean, for the money, I just didn't want to hold on to it. I just let it go.
Yeah, I ended up letting them go just because I couldn't control them as much.
2000?
Yeah, yeah.
He went the exact opposite route and got a Profit 2000. He's like, I'm gonna get bulky and like
the biggest,
slow.
800 pounds. Yeah, it's great.
So hey, before we're gonna wrap it up here soon, but for somebody that just asked a little bit, there's two things in chat I want to bring up. One, this is a montage. Montage 6 on the side here, and I'm actually, they sent this to me a while ago, and I've used it. I've used it quite a bit. Not maybe.
You're just hoping that they forgot that they sent it to you.
I'm still hoping they forgot. But I gotta send it back to them soon. So I'm finally getting around to filming the review, and I just filmed something on how to update the OS on it, and for those that don't know, just to let them know, this is dope here. This super knob, but it's basically a big macro. And
that's what I was about to say. I'm like,
yeah, it's basically a big macro. Now, here's the thing about this, and I'll talk about it in my review. This joint sounds incredible, but it's so clean, right? And so for some people that'll work, and it will work for me too, because you can always dirty things up. I got analog heat and some other crazy stuff over here too, but the navigation, not the navigation, but the menu diving. And that's what you would expect on a big like music workstation like this. So there's some drawbacks and some pluses, but it's also got an FM synth engine. It sounds dope in it too. And I just updated this joint. So I got a couple things I'll be talking to getting through on this. And the rep for Yamaha, Blake, he's gonna be on the show on the 25th. So if y'all want to talk about the montage and get into some comparisons and different stuff, my review will be done and on YouTube by then, and Blake will be on the show, so we can all get back together and talk to Blake about the montage and different stuff like that. Yeah. And this guy will be leaving, so you can see I've rearranged my deal over here.
It looks great, Ken. It looks great. It looks fantastic.
You have way too many synths.
Yeah, I do. Why? Because you can see where mines are, ain't it? I got the
I'm just saying, you could easily lighten the load. You don't need all this. And just send me that Profit.
Let's look at this again. Look at this situation. Right, exactly. But yo, you know what would have been dope if I could have had that USB set up in here, and took this along as my portable deal.
Yeah, and I'll talk to you off air about some other things about that. There's some options for that. So I'll talk to you about some stuff. Okay, but it'd be too long for the show, and
we should get into that one day. Well, you know what? Actually, just to tell people, so if you haven't noticed, I'm doing the show a little more often now, and part of that is having a few different kinds of guests and a few different guests. So we got a couple modular guests that are coming up. One I don't want to say because I think it's going to be a cool surprise. With the other one, my homegirls from over at the Synth Library are going to be on the show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that'll be cool. They'll be on here, and we can kind of get into what the Synth Library is all about.
Make sure Ken doesn't get cut.
Yeah. It's all right. I'm just making sure he doesn't steal my show title.
Oh no, we ain't gonna call it the Synth Summit show. It's gonna be the Synth Sunrise show. No, Synth Sunrise, not Summit.
Oh, there you go. Sunrise show.
So, hey, but yeah, you got to make sure to be on so we could talk to them about this stuff. And then too, what I think is cool is because they teach classes at the Synth Library, and some beginner stuff and different
now,
stuff.
where is
like
this,
that.
Corey? Where's the synth library?
The synth library is it's a like basically like
No,
a synth library. It's in Portland, and they get together. They got a lot of donations from all these different synth builders and stuff, and you know, they're there to kind of serve the synth community, and they do like beginner synthesis courses, and you know, they're testing all kinds of things. You can come there and play with different things to get to know it, and before you buy it and all this kind of stuff. So it's the same concept as a library, but with synths. I don't think they check in and out stuff, but you can go there and, you know, just like you can go to the library and read a book and use the internet, you can go there and experience that one oscillator that you want to check out, or the Mother 32 or whatever else it is.
Yeah. So can I plug something real quick?
Plug, man.
So
yeah,
the Synth Summit show, I've got a lot of really cool guests lined up for that. One of the guests lined up, I'm gonna talk about it now. It's coming up very soon. But Andrew from Expert Sleepers is going to be on the show, and we're going to be talking about the new ES8 interface and the Disting MK4. So they make a lot of really cool digital modules that let you interface your modular stuff with like reactor blocks and, you know, your iOS, Audulus, that kind of stuff. I'm going to have the guys from Audulus come on the show as well. I'm also going to have who's the other guy?
Morton Subotnick. No.
I'm working on that. I'm actually working on that, so that'll be great. But yeah, I've got a lot of really cool shows coming up. I was just talking with a guy today about a new Kickstarter that's coming out called the Hive synthesizer. So we'll be doing some stuff with that as well. But yeah, I got a lot of cool shows coming up, so definitely check that out.
Word. So yeah, man, I'm actually looking forward to those things. I watch our shows like it's television. You might come in, I'll be watching our shows on TV, like catching up on what's going on out there. So what you got going on, Stoney? We're gonna be closing it out.
Well, I'm trying to catch up on my my YouTube social media numbers. So, you know, I just want some people to just go to my YouTube channel and follow me. I'm gonna enter the name of my channel in the chat room, and it's Stoney's Music on YouTube, because I want to get a URL for my YouTube. Word. And I need a certain amount of followers in order to get that. So I'm pretty much working on that, and you know, definitely check me out on the Pure Mind online workshops and mentorships, and you know, yeah. Word. YouTube, please.
Well, that's what's up. I'll make sure to put your channel in the notes of the show as well, and all the shows that you're on, so we can make sure that we got that cross promotion and stuff going on. So
awesome.
Yo, and this is I want y'all to be sure to go out to the store, BeatPPL.com, support, so we can keep bringing this stuff to you. And if you rock with MSX Audio, go to msxaudio.com, and I got a 10% discount for you if you just use BBoyTech, one word, BBoytech, and check out. They give you 10%, and yeah, we just keep it rocking like that. Just
and I also want to shout out St. Joe. His Ableton page is just really a great source also to get people up and going.
Pushtutorials.com.
Yeah, pushtutorials.com. Then he got Ableton Tips, is it?
Yeah, he's got Ableton Tips. He's got pushtutorials.com. But that pushtutorials.com is more manual based, but it's straightforward, and it's so good and so very. The way he breaks it down. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just kind of get it, you know. And
he does do a thing on there where he goes through the entire manual and has individual videos for every section of the manual. So if you don't like reading manuals and you'd rather just have somebody show you, it's
a video manual.
Yeah, I mean, and then like the truth, like that's exactly what I was doing when I was in the hotel. Like, you know, you run up, you think about something, oh, I want to do this, and you usually have to pull out the manual, but you log into that site, you know, obviously it's a member site, you log into the site and there's a drop down, you're using regular push or push 2. Then once you do that, you can go through every chapter.
Yeah.
And there's a video for every single thing that you need to do in there. It's brilliant.
Now, the cool thing is once you go through that, you then come to someone like myself who's a mentor, a peer of mine, and then we really break down the technical jargon. You know what I mean? So even when you're reading the manual, sometimes actually mean. So then that's when you sit with somebody who can actually walk you through the technical details and what things actually really mean.
Word.
Yeah.
That's what's up. And that's where you go and you get to the mentor program with Stony. So, in closing, I just want to say some of the other stuff that I got coming up is I think it's called Mofenzief modular. I got this here deviant module that's basically like two very specialized sample and hold and random type of deals. So I'm going to be reviewing that soon too. And I got a couple other things over here from Erica Sent. If y'all haven't checked out the review of the Rossum Evolution filter that I did, be sure to check that out. And in closing, I just want to say, we ought to beat people. We don't beat people. We are beat people. That's how it goes.
Sometimes
I think that's how it goes. Yeah. Sometimes Ken beats people, but we don't like to talk about that on air. So thanks for supporting, and shouts out to everybody that stopped by and support the crew. Squad up. Peace.